I'm Larry O'Connor alongside Brian Wilson.
Joining us now on the line is our good friend Joe diGenova, our legal analyst. Joe, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Let me start out by playing a little soundbite for you. This is cut number 24 there, Mike McKay. Pull this up because this is the IRS commissioner in March of 2014 when he was asked about, these emails from Lois Lerner. And this is the assurance that he gave to members of Congress back in March of this year.
That's one of the brilliance of the email system is you go in and you check the sent box, the inbox, and you suddenly have all the emails, correct?
Right. They get taken off and stored in servers, and you've got 90,000 employees, and you've got...
I know, but I'm not asking to search. I'm asking to find one. They type in her email address.
We could find, and we in fact are searching, we can find Lois Lerner's emails.
There you have it. We can find them, Joe. But then on Friday at 5 o'clock, when they thought nobody was looking, came word from the IRS that they can't find a lot of Lois Lerner's emails related to this IRS scandal. What's your thought from a legal standpoint?
This is a congressional subpoena, which they have not complied with, and they say that now they can't comply because these emails are lost. At this point, in a grand jury investigation, what a prosecutor would do is now conclude that this is bad faith, and then would issue additional subpoenas and bring people in for under oath testimony. Congress should at least do that, but they should do a number of other things. They should invite all the lawyers from the IRS office in for sworn testimony, and if after that testimony they're not satisfied, the commissioner and all of the lawyers from the general counsel's office at the IRS should be held in contempt of Congress. Congress has very few things that it can do to enforce its subpoenas. They could go to court also and litigate the bad faith question. That is time-consuming. The better thing to do is to bring all these people in immediately, put them under oath, ask them about the searches that have been done, and this would include all the technical people and the systems people from the IRS. But the lawyers are the ones who are key here, because they're the ones that are enforcing the subpoena, and they're responsible for it, as is the IRS commissioner. Bring them in for sworn testimony, put them under oath. If you're not satisfied, hold them all in contempt. Believe me, the lawyers who work for the IRS do not want a contempt citation on their bar membership listings. The other thing is Congress should now see that this is a cumulative number of things from the administration, and I tend to believe now, beyond any doubt, that the president should be censured by the House of Representatives.
Well, let's talk about that in just a moment. But I mean, should there not be an investigation at a different level over by the Department of Justice?
Do you think that the FBI, which announced to the Wall Street Journal a number of months ago that there weren't going to be any criminal charges, is going to investigate this? I mean, I am so disappointed at the new director of the FBI. This guy apparently is asleep at the wheel, and of course Eric Holder is just hopeless. There's not going to be any investigation. The woman in charge of it at the Department of Justice, as you all know, is a major contributor to the President of the United States. Congress is going to have to do this on their own. The Department of Justice is going to do nothing. And the FBI director should be ashamed of himself. This is an embarrassment for the Bureau.
All right, Joe, hold on for a second there. Let's go back for a minute. Now, you just said that Congress should censor the president over this. I mean, does the president have any direct connection to this IRS thing?
What do you think the president did when he started with this Citizens United speech back in January of 2010 when he said that the Supreme Court had improperly ruled that they had caused all these problems, and that was about 501c4 organizations. Don't you think the IRS and Lois Lerner didn't hear that speech? And then what the president told O'Reilly. Remember? Not a smidgen of corruption at the IRS. That was a signal to people to destroy documents.
Oh, all right.
The president of the United States was telling people at the IRS to destroy documents.
So
this is long overdue. People don't want to do anything because he's a black president. They're not going to impeach him. They're not going to remove him from office. He should be censured by the United States Congress. He is at the head of this problem, and it's time for people to start saying it.
So, Joe, you're a prosecutor. You've got your team together. You're trying to get documentation. You subpoenaed information, and the person that you're investigating comes back to you, tells your team, those emails are gone. They're deleted. We can't get them back. What do you tell your team? What do you
immediately send the FBI in, and they seize all of the servers. and they inspect them themselves.
And anything short of that means that the FBI, through the Department of Justice, is complicit in this.
That's exactly right. And the other thing they can do is they can send the agents in with a search warrant, and they can do all the searches over a number of days inside the IRS. If the Bureau does not do this, that means that the FBI director and the Attorney General are complicit in not faithfully executing the law. This is a no-brainer. When the IRS does something like this in a major investigation and they say they can't find something, it then becomes the job of the FBI to go find the stuff. This is potentially criminal conduct now beyond any doubt, and the absence of any action by the FBI and the DOJ is disgraceful. It is simply unprofessional. It is partisan politics of the worst kind. And if the Bureau doesn't do something fast and get into this, if the Republicans take over the Senate in 2014 in the November elections, I would not want to be either the AG or the FBI director.
Isn't it interesting that, we're talking about the IRS here. I mean, these guys are like vicious pit bulls when they go after somebody who they think is not coming straight on their information when it comes to filing their taxes. And they have abilities and capabilities that are truly impressive.
If the President of the United States ordered them to get off their duff, they would do it. But the fact that he hasn't sends you and tells you absolutely. When he said there's not a smidgen of evidence of corruption, that was a signal to the IRS. The President of the United States has become the president that Richard Nixon always wanted to be. And I'll tell you something, this is palpable now. This is beginning to get into the sinew of government. Career civil service employees are feeling emboldened to violate the law. And if they're listening out there to WMAL, which they do, believe me, boys and girls, you are going to be in for a rough ride if the Republicans take over the Senate. And the FBI director, Mr. Comey, who pretends to be a morally above-ground guy, and, the press loves him, what is he going to do about this? Mr. Comey, where are you? Where are you, Mr. Comey, our FBI director? This is so palpable. He doesn't even need a request from the Justice Department to get involved in this at this point.
All right, listen, thank you, Joe. We really appreciate
Great
your
stuff.
take on this. As somebody who knows how to conduct such an investigation, where would you go? He says straight to the FBI. Thank you, Joe.